1980 was a very strange year for the Pythons. You had the controversy over Life of Brian. The people were saying it was degrading Jesus, where everybody knows the movie was not about Jesus. It was about the fanaticism, occultism around that time, where basically Jesus in the movie was revered, but Brian, who was not Jesus, was basically made to seem like he was Jesus, and the fanatics were all over this movie. But there was another controversy that year, late in the fall, with something called Monty Python's Contractual Obligation album. It led to near lawsuits and a lawsuit involving a Bob Denver song, which I'm going to get into in a second. It's so hilariously funny, not say Bob Denver, John Denver's Bob Denver. Sorry about that Freudian slip. John Denver's song that was a parody, lasted only about 35 seconds, and almost cost the Pythons millions. Now, this album is the final studio album by Monty Python, released in fall 1980. As the title suggests, the album was put together to complete a contract with Charisma Records. Besides newly written songs and sketches, in this one went for 46 minutes. The session saw re-recordings of Imperial that dated back to the 60s pre-Python shows. I'm Sorry, I'll Read That Again, The Frost Report, Alaska 1948 Show, and How to Irritate People. One track, Bell, dates from the sessions for Monty Python's record, while further material was adapted from Eric Idle's post-Python series, Rutland Weekend Television, of course, the Beatles' parody band, The Ruddles. The group also reworked material written but discarded from early drafts of Life of Brian, as well as the initial scripts for what would eventually become The Meaning of Life. Now, the group had not recorded an all-studio album since Matching Tie and Handkerchief in 1973, and were initially unenthusiastic about returning to the recording studio. Fresh from co-producing the Life of Brian soundtrack album with the aid of George Harrison, Eric Idle oversaw the sessions, which resulted in over half the album consisting of songs. Beginning with January 1980, the group recorded reams of unused material during the sessions, much of which found its way on unreleased outtakes album, hastily cobbled together for a fast buck, although some previous unheard material was included on the companions compilations, The Final Ripoff in 1987, and Monty Python Sings in 1989. In 2006, further unreleased tracks were added to the special edition CDs of another Monty Python record, Monty Python's previous record, Matching Tie and Handkerchief, and the Contractual Obligation album itself. In 2014, 3 further tracks were added to expanded Monty Python Sings again. Now, due to the amount of cut material, the finished album features John Cleese on only 3 tracks. The reworkings of String and Bookshop, plus a brief appearance at the start of Medical Love Song, while Terry Gilliam does not feature at all. Gilliam's absence was noted on the album's Basil Poe designed cover, which featured a plain inner sleeve, and which Eric Idle wrote, "Can TG do a nice eye-catching cover to help it sell?" To which Terry Jones replied, "Not really worth it." The record label shown on the cover has a fake track listing with titles related to legal status of the contractual obligation. As with Drury Lane album, the cover appears in the scene in Gilliam's 2005 film Tideland, although it was only visible in the 235-1 aspect ratio version. Now, the actual record label on the original UK vinyl release had the standard Charisma design made up to look like parts had been torn off, onto which the first side had side 1, scribbled on in pen, with the other side written on side 2. The traditional George Beckman Run-Out Groove message read, "Excuse the pause between sides, we just nipped out to the pub for a pint" on side 1, and "Dear Mom, please send another cup of down, still cutting the Python LB, love Porky X" on side 2. A 3-track 7-inch single comprising I Like Chinese, I Bet They Won't Play That Song on the Radio, and Finland was released in the UK on 3rd of October in 1980 and tie-in with the album. Michael Payne appeared on the BBC Top of the Pops to promote the album, helping to give the group their highest chart position, as the album peaked at number 13 on the UK albums charts. Now, I first started listening to this album in the early 80s, and I got the unedited version, but we'll get to this in a second. The 2006 special edition contains 4 bonus tracks, consisting of contemporary promotional material and demo versions of 2 songs. Now, 2 tracks in the album caused extreme controversy when first released. The lead track, Sit in My Face and Tell Me That You Love Me, was sung to the tune of Sing As We Go, a song made famous by Gracie Fields, and reportedly its inclusion led to legal threats against the Python team for copyright infringement over the melody. Nonetheless, the songs were retained on the album and had already been lip-synced by Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, and Terry Jones as the opening of the second half of the Monty Python Live at the Hollywood Bowl shortly before the album's release. The song opens the heavily edited 1982 film version. The concert film also features Terry Jones twice miming to never be rude to an Arab. In 2014, Sit in My Face was featured on the 2014 Monty Python Performance Reunion Concert Series. Monty Python Live mostly expanded to a production number. Now, the big one, of course, was Farewell to John Denver, which contained a few bars of the Ruddles member Ollie Hassel impersonating John Denver, singing a parody of Annie's song to the words, "You came on my pillow," followed by the song of the singer being strangled. Was removed from subsequent pressings of the UK version on legal advice. Reports differ as to whether it had to do with the licensing of Annie's song or the depiction of the popular singer being severely murdered. It was replaced by an apology spoken by Terry Jones. Later CD releases of the album reinstated the John Denver track, but after Denver's death in a plane crash, the 2006 reissue reduced the main track listing, not counting the bonus tracks, to 23 from his original 24, therefore omitting both the original track and the apology version. Now, the original Farewell to John Denver track can be found in the Arista CD, the Monty Python Instant Record Collection, original advance print and advertising by Charisma Records, including the tagline, now a major lawsuit. As noted again, some pressings of the album omit the Farewell to John Denver track. The original UK vinyl pressing also contained an unintentionally out-of-sync mix on the song I'm So Worried, which was subsequently corrected. Now, the original cassette version had an additional track due to side 1 being several minutes shorter than side 2. At the end of side 1, about 45 seconds after I'm So Worried, Palin states there will be a tiresome gap before the tape ends. Several minutes, about 4:52, of silence ensue, followed the very end by Eric Idle stating that the gap was over and the tape may be turned to side 2. The amended UK cassette release, with the John Denver section removed and I'm So Worried fixed, features an alternate message from Terry Jones at the end in place of Michael Palin and Eric Idle messages. Now, 2 tracks in the album were later released in expanded versions, including Henry Kissinger and Medical Love Song. Now, Roddy Barker, the 2 Roddies, and Ronnie Corbett performed the original version of String on 27 April 1961 in the Frost Report. Now, numerous material had previously been published in written form. The Eric Idle monologue Rock Notes, which is a classic, fell off a motorcyclist most likely, originally appeared as part of the Rutland Stone section in the 1976 Rutland Weekend Television spin-off book, The Rutland Dirty Weekend Book. The Martyrdom of St. Victor, originally St. Brian, and the All Things Dull and Ugly lyrics were lifted from the 79 Monty Python scrapbook. Now, 2 bands drew their name from the Toad or Wet Sprocket, an imaginary group featured in Rock Notes. The name had originally been featured in a parody of the Old Grey Whistle Test in episode 4 of the first series of Rutland in 75. The first Toad or Wet Sprocket was a British heavy metal band of the 70s, which released a few singles that appeared on the 80 compilation album Metal for Mothers. The second Toad or Wet Sprocket is a longer-lived American alternate band of the late 80s and early 90s, which had several hits. Now, side 1 includes, of course, Sit in My Face, Announcement, Henry Kissinger, String, Never Be Rude to the Arab, I Like Chinese, Bishop, Medical Love Song, Farewell to John Denver, Finland, I'm So Worried, and end of side 1 Announcement, which is the cassette version only. Side 2, I Bet You They Won't Play the Song on the Radio, Martyrdom of St. Victor, here comes another one, Here Comes Another One, Bookshop, Do What John, Rock Notes, Muddy D's, Crocodile, Decomposing Composers, Bell, Traffic Lights, All Things Dull and Ugly, and A Scottish Farewell. Now, the bonus tracks on Contractual Obligation were Terry Jones and Graham Chapman promotional interview, radio ad jingle, Medical Love Song, alternate demo version, and I'm So Worried demo version. Hit number 3 in Australia, number 13 in UK, and was considered platinum in Australia with 50,000 units sold. Now, Chapman, Cleese, Idle, Jones, and Palin, of course, Noel Gilliam. Additional performers included Mike Berry, Fred Tomlinson, Brian Willoughby, and Ollie Hassel, again of the Rutland group. Eric Idle was the producer as well. Now, the following is a list of musical works included on the album. Again, Sit in My Face, Henry Kissinger, Never Be Rude to an Arab, by Terry Jones. Then Idle Again, I Like Chinese. Polygon by Val Ponderisky. Medical Love Song, Farewell to John Denver. Finland, I'm So Worried. I bet they won't play this love song on the radio. Here Comes Another One, Do What John, Bunny Knees. Sports Track, Decomposing Composers, Traffic Lights, All Things Dull and Ugly, and Scottish Farewell. This was also nominated for a Grammy as Best Comedy Album in '81, and unfortunately didn't win that year. So that was a bummer. I do remember being nominated. I would consider this album sort of like the bridge between the Python of Life of Brian and the Python of Meaning of Life. But Eric Idle was just going off the rails with this one. And under British libel law, they were looking at a major lawsuit. There was one person saying at the time it could have been the first $1 million British libel lawsuit from one entertainer to the other. So I'm glad he took it off. So this was a university and college favorite when I was a kid. If you like Contractual Obligation album, let me know. Give us a comment or like, comment, or subscribe. And if you've never heard of this before, you can probably find a version of this someplace. On YouTube or at your local library. Most libraries in New Brunswick carry copies of this album. I don't know if it comes under entertainment or British history or whatever, but it's just tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. And as we like to say to the North Shore, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.